This video is intended to show you guys how to hook up a push button for any project that you may have. Wiring, there's two different ways to wire it. You need to pull in power and ground, and then you need to hook to either a digital or an analog pin. For this one, try to kind of lay it out for you. We've got 5 volts that come into this side of the switch, and these two are connected. And these two are connected. So we've got 5 volts that comes to this side of the switch but goes nowhere else until we push the button. On the other side, we've got a resistor going to ground, and so what that does, with this connected right here, we're going to be listening on pin 2, digital pin 2, and what this does is it always pulls it to ground. It's a way to stabilize the switch, so you don't get kind of bouncy results. So we've got a pull down resistor on ground, so it's always going to be making this ground until we push the button, and with the resistor here, the 5 volts will head this way to the pin, turning it high, where normally it's ground. The other option is instead of hooking to a digital pin, you could use an analog pin. Same setup, you just put it in a different spot. The coding for these they're very similar. When you're using a digital pin, digital pin's either on or off, so that means it's true or false. So even though we have a test, all we have to do is put in a digital pin 2. So as long as it's high, it's true. If it's low, it's false. So whenever it receives some sort of pin, some sort of a signal coming in on digital pin 2, if it goes high, this is what happens. So right here, we were just turning on that pin 13 that was in the breadboard, if you noticed that, or in the Arduino. So we're turning on the pin, and then whatever you want to do, you can create a subroutine for that. The trouble is that it happens so fast that you can't push it down and then pull your finger off fast enough. And so we put a sort of a delay to stop what's called debouncing, where it's like it registers multiple switches when you've only pressed it once. So as fast as this Arduino can handle the loop, it's going to be going through. So I've got it at 100. You might have it at like a half second, something just to allow you to push the button, release without registering 2 button pushes. Down here, this is what happens when this isn't true. So as long as you're not pushing the button, this is what we're doing. And we're just having it turn on the LED low. The difference when using your analog input is that the analog comes in from 0 to 1023, and so we just put a number in the middle. So as long as analog is below, actually this probably should have been swapped. This should be a greater than sign. So if it's greater than 550, then do this, and that's my mistake. So it looks exactly the same. We just have a greater than a value. That's the simple method. It's going to get a little more complex. Whenever you get into more advanced code, you don't want to have any delays. And so instead of having a delay to hold it, you want to be able to like register the last time you pushed it. So this one, we have it on digital pin 2, and it's looking all the same, but we have a test before we do anything. And so the test is, okay, does our current time, which that's what millis is, minus our last press, is it greater than our delay time? It could be 100, it could be a half second, something. It's however like short of a button press you want to register. And then if it is greater than that amount, so if enough time has passed since you pushed it last, then we'll come in and we reset our last press to whatever the current time is now, and then you do whatever you want. So what this will do is if you pushed a button press and it was only like 5 milliseconds from the last one, you know it's not you pushing it that fast. And then so it just ignores it. So even though the digital pin is high, if it hasn't been long enough, you just ignore it and pass it and do nothing. And then this is what nothing else happens. But that's kind of the rundown. I hope it wasn't too confusing, but this is how you use a button press and keep it from pushing too much. There's one last thing I will mention. I intentionally put it on pin 2, although you could use it on any pin. But pin 2 and 3 on the Arduino Uno has an interrupt pin, which means that, like, usually with your Arduino projects, like, if you are busy doing something else and you push the button, it won't know that you did it. You almost have to hold the button until you go back and check to see if the button was pressed. Like if your main loop, if whatever you're doing is a long time or it takes a long time, you won't register until you come back to check on it. But Arduino pins 2 and 3 have interrupts. You do have to set up an interrupt, and you're going to probably use one of the custom code blocks where it attaches an interrupt in here, but don't worry about that. I just want you to know that it is an option. Anyways, that's it. Thank you.